Welcome. Generally doing a preview, but with the buy, thought I'd just have a look at some of our players, where they sit. Might do a few of these videos over the next few days or so. We have 16 players at our football club who are out of contract at the end of this season. 16. That's a lot. And regardless of whether we finish the season strongly and what that looks like, you would think that there's going to be mass changes at our club come the end of the year with our playing list. One of the things I suppose over the final part of this season and the run home is really getting a really good look at some of these guys who are out of contract. And I'll go through them, but this video isn't on them and who should stay and who should go. I've got no idea around that. But one of the guys who's not part of that 16 who are out of contract at the end of this year is Lockie O'Brien. He's contracted to 2024. So let that sink in for a second while I go through these names here who are out of contract and have yet to sign. And some of these may sign over the coming weeks, even days, who knows. So, Alex Chincotta played on the weekend. Brody Kemp played on the weekend. Caleb Marchbank out of contract. David Cunningham back, played on the weekend. AQ yet to make a debut, out of contract. Ed Curnow out of contract. Hudson O'Keefe out of contract. Jack Silvani out of contract. Josh Honey out of contract. Fogarty played on the weekend. Lockie Plowman out of contract. Mitch McGovern out of contract. Nick Newman out of contract. Paddy Dow. Sam Durden. Sam Philp out of contract. And Tom DeConning, probably the biggest name there you would have thought, or the one that's probably had the most publicity, out of contract. Lockie O'Brien is contracted until the end of next year. I scratch my head at that. I really do. I scratch my head at that. And this is not... I'm sort of gobsmacked at this. I really am. 23 years of age, will be 24 in September. We know O'Brien's, we know his history at the club. We know he was picked 10 in 2017, the same draft as Paddy Dow. We know that. All right, we sort of forget though that at the end of 2021, at the start of 2022, he was demoted to the rookie list when Michael Voss arrived. Nick Austin said, nah, you're going back. Him and Matthew Cottrell will guarantee you a rookie spot, but we're taking you off the list. And then Voss arrived. He'd obviously got a lot of opportunities under Brendan Bolton early, where a lot of younger players did. Played 18 games in his first season, 17 in his second season under Bolton. And then he just fell away under David Teague. And I mean fell away. Teague just wouldn't play him. And it wasn't like he had any injuries. Teague just wouldn't play him. He played 1 and 5 games respectively. So 41 games in those first 4 years. And under Voss, he played 19 last year and so far this year 6 for a total of 25 games. So 66 all up in 6 seasons for the former number 10 draft pick who was demoted onto the rookie list. I shake my head at, and I do understand that you need depth. I do understand he's probably on the cheapest 2-year contract going around. I do understand that they probably saw a little bit of progression in him in 2022 under Voss in his first season. And his manager would have been pushing for a 2-year contract. But there was no one knocking for this guy. There was no one coming for Lachie O'Brien from other clubs. I'm 100% sure on that. And to sit here right now to think that Lachie O'Brien will be still at our club in 2024, running around in the VFL, just like, yeah, I'm sort of blown away at that. Blown away at that. And I don't even see him really as depth. Understand coverage, but O'Brien, I really think even as depth is very much a liability when he plays. And you even see it at VFL level as well. We're going to have a player on our list next year unless they decide to, unless some opposition come knocking on the door. We're going to have a player on our list next year who's going to play pretty much the whole year in the VFL. How on earth he signed a 2-year contract? It blows me away. The reason why I say that is he played 19 games in his first season under Michael Voss. Yeah, that on paper looks good. And he played some reasonable football at times. But last year, he was omitted 3 times. So a guy been in the system 5 years, had been omitted 3 times throughout the year. Then come at the end of the year, he signs a 2-year contract. It just he started the year in the ones, got to round 5, got dropped. Came back round 7, strung together 9 games or something, then got dropped. Came back round 19, played the next 4, then got dropped. So 3 times Lachie O'Brien got dropped. He just wasn't up to it. And it wasn't like he was going back to the VFL and knocking down the door. They just kept bringing him back in and omitting him. Is he a whipping boy? No. Is he a foregoer? No. Is he a scapegoat? No. He's just not good enough. So on September the 9th, after being omitted 3 times throughout 2022, and he was on the rookie list, the club signed him to a 2-year contract. Not only did he sign him to a 2-year contract, they go and recruit Blake Acres, a wingman, and they go to the draft and recruit Hollins and Binns. And they also signed Matthew Cottrell. Now, understand that wing is a specific position and you need coverage and you need depth in those positions, but Christ almighty. And this is what Lachie O'Brien said when he signed his 2-year contract. I got given the opportunity and I was really thankful to the club for that. And he's talking about the fact that he was delisted but then put onto the rookie list. This year, 2022, was my chance to prove that they, the club, did the right thing. And going forward, that's what I'll be doing, not only proving it to them, but also myself. A lot of it came from the initial chats with the coaches and with Vossi. It instilled belief and a clean slate, O'Brien said. He took me for a walk around Princes Park, which he did with a lot of players, and spoke about what he needed from me and what I needed from him. We didn't look back from there. He told me to focus in on my strengths, and that's what I did. I came back with some PBs in those areas. It's definitely not the finished product, but 2 more years is huge news for me and a good stepping block for what I can produce in 2023, which is this year, and onwards. So let's have a look at 2023. This is huge news for me and a good stepping block that I can produce. 2023 thus far. Horrid in the preseason games, and I mean horrid, against Sydney up in Blacktown. He was as bad a game as I've seen from a Carlton player, so bad that they had to play an 18-year-old in round 1 against Richmond, and that was Ollie Hollands, and on the other wing, Blake Acres. You would have thought that a big stepping stone for Lockie O'Brien, signed a 2-year contract, would be to play round 1, but no, they went with an 18-year-old. He was the sub. So for the first 3 weeks, Lockie O'Brien played as a sub and had no real impact on the game when he came on. No confidence in him. Sure, he got an opportunity and played a full game against North Melbourne in round 5 on a Good Friday, but was dropped for round 5 against Adelaide in the gather round. Then returned for round 6 against the Saints, was sub. Then dropped again for round 7 against the West Coast Eagles. Returned for round 12. All this time, an 18-year-old is in front of him, and that's Ollie Hollands. Returned for round 12 against Melbourne, played a full game. Full game against the D's, but then just performed putridly against the D's in a full game, and then was dropped for round 13 against the Bombers. So listen to this record under Michael Voss. He's played 25 games, but been axed 6 times. 6 times! That's more than any other player on our list. Lockie O'Brien has been axed 6 times, and we have 16 players out of contract, guys, at the end of the year, and Lockie O'Brien isn't one of them. And he is no longer a project player. He is no longer, if you look at his performances in the VFL over the last couple of weeks, he looks shot. We have Matthew Cottrell, Blake Acres, Hollands, Binns, and they're even now playing Sam Doherty at times on a wing. Pete, I see why you need depth at your football club, but this bloke unfortunately hasn't got it. And he is a liability every time he plays in our senior football team. He is not strong enough. He's not tough enough. He's not good enough. His kicking's overrated. Doesn't get his hands on the pill. For a wingman, he doesn't have great speed. He can't defend very well because he doesn't have the strength. He'll be playing at our football club for a full year in 2024 unless a club comes to us and say, we want Lockie O'Brien. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Am I too harsh on this kid? Well, he's no longer a kid, but can you seriously see the future at our club for Lockie O'Brien?